Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. As you know, I have been doing Instacart since July 2020. I did that for a solid 3 months, full-time, the only app. That's the only app that I did until I started doing DoorDash and Uber Eats. Recently, I was lured back to Instacart about a week or two ago when they were running a promotion after I had not worked Instacart for 6 months. So the promotion I got was to complete 15 orders and earn $300 extra on top of my earnings from the orders that I completed. That got me back to Instacart, and I actually want to bring Instacart back into my rotation of other gig apps that I use, primarily DoorDash and Uber Eats. I turn on Postmates every once in a while to see what's going on, and I'm also on the Shipt platform. I think one of the main reasons that I stopped doing Instacart was just because there are so many things that can go wrong doing Instacart, and the customers can lie and say something was damaged, something was missing. I got scared out of doing Instacart, I guess, especially because I'm part of Facebook groups where they talk about all the bad things that happen all the time. But coming from a strong retail management background where I worked in 2 flagship stores, I definitely know a thing about busy stores, angry customers, and customer experience as well. So I want to take a stab back at Instacart, and doing these gig apps, I do miss the camaraderie of coworkers and have people to bounce ideas off of. Sometimes I just wish I had somebody with me to let me know if I was doing okay, if I had any questions. I wonder who that person could be.
Hi Joe Gig, it's Jen on the go. Okay, let's go.
I have been such a huge fan of Jen on the go since pretty much she first started out on YouTube. Yeah, Jen has just been such an inspiration to me. Her videos on Instacart are amazing, great tips for new shoppers, great ways to deal with customer issues, Instacart app issues, and things like that. So if I could just have Jen with me for a day doing Instacart, I'd feel so much more confident to get back out there in the field and get Instacart back into my rotation of multi-apping. Jen, are you out there? Right, so besides some of the obvious stuff like making sure I have my Instacart card, making sure I have my insulated bags and so on, I think some of Jen's top tips are...
Joe, you want to start shopping as early as you can because on Instacart, the very best, highest paying batches usually drop first thing in the morning, and grocery stores open at 7 a.m. So make sure you are up and ready to go. Another thing you want to do is park in the grocery store parking lot that you would like to start your day, because this way you have a better chance of being prioritized. Oh, and don't forget your coffee and your portable phone charger. And oh, last, your goal. You cannot be successful in a day if you don't have your goal. So don't forget these things.
So I have my coffee. I'm in the parking lot of my favorite place, being patient to scroll. And
Joe, remember, don't settle. The #1 rule of thumb,
Know your worth. I'm still working on that one. I'm in the parking lot of my favorite grocery store. I am currently sitting at a 5-star rating, 50 5-star ratings. So I have an excellent rating, so to speak. I'm gonna tap to start shopping, tap to go online, and really that means tap to start scrolling and waiting. So here we go. I am screen recording all this, so we will see what we have here. I mean, of course, since I'm at my favorite store, I'd love to get a batch here and wait, but if there's something good close by, I will take that as well. I often find myself wondering, what would Jen do? Or what batch would Jen take? I'm trying to remember what some of her best practices are when choosing a batch.
Okay, Joe, before you accept your first batch today, there's a couple things you should know. Instacart shoppers need to be incredibly strategic and patient, highly selective when it comes to choosing the batch. A good rule of thumb is you want to look at that overall batch payment. And when possible, you want to make sure that total batch amount equals the number of items in the batch. So for instance, if it's a $25 payout, then those items you're shopping for should be $25 or less. Next, you need to look at the miles and make sure you're not driving too far. That will reduce your profit. And then also you want to assess that customer tip. And if there is no tip, you know the rule, no tip, no trip. Non-negotiable, Joe.
So as we can see here, you know, what might work for Jen, where she gets some amazing batches and could do over $100 in only 2 batches. The typical amount for me, we're seeing here, $16, $14, $12, $11, $14, $10, $11,
Please
$12,
don't
$12.
get caught up in comparing what you are earning to what another gig worker is earning in a completely different market. We need to focus on our own market. The grass is not always greener on the other side. We need to water our own grass and watch it grow.
That is typical in my market. So I'd say, you know, $10 to $15 is the majority of batches. A $20 batch is good. 25 and up is excellent. The highest one I've seen so far is a $26 order, a double order, going 5 miles. So 42 items, 60 units for $26. I don't think Jen would take that. I'm not going to either.
Great call. I'm proud of you, Joe, for passing on that $26 double batch for 60 units. That more than doubles the batch payout. Plus, you don't know what that second customer is tipping you. So it is a risk, Joe, and it was strategically smart on your part to say no way to that batch.
So one of the things about taking advice as a gig worker is you really are in charge of your own fate out there and learning what's best for you, learning your market, and everyone is different. So where Jen lives, she has great batches to choose from and can make a great amount of money. That's not the case in my area. I've noticed, especially in the last couple of weeks. So I still take her advice, but morph it into what will work for me. All right, what about this one?
Joe, if it were me, I would not take that batch at Best Buy, even though, yes, it's only 2 items, but for $12.74 with 8 miles distance, now you're talking 16 miles of a drive. So by the time you factor in the gas, now this puts you to making about $10 an hour, which it's going to take you more than an hour to do. And last time I checked, that is below minimum wage. So that is a no-go, Joe.
Good point, good point. All right, what about this one?
Okay, Joe, so even though this batch looks good at a first glance, $33, only 18 items, $11.51 customer tip. But then you have to look at the miles. And you said you are 6 miles away from the grocery store, and now you have to add another 12.4 miles to the customer's home from the grocery store. Now this puts you over 18 miles on a one-way trip. It is not worth the distance, the wear and tear on your car, and the cost of gas. Plus, you don't want the algorithm to think that you are willing to accept these batches so far away. So that is a no-go again.
Very true. Thanks, Jen. Finally, a good-looking batch. Should I take it, Jen?
Joe, yes. Slide to accept that batch quick. $17 for only 6 items with a $10 customer tip. Perfect metrics. You want that customer tip to be higher than the Instacart batch payout, which it is. Plus, the drop-off is about a half a mile away. That is perfect. Take it before somebody else does. Hurry.
All right, so 2 hours later, I finally accepted my first batch. It is $17 for only 6 items, 10 units total, which is great. And the customer lives super close to the grocery store. From where I am, the grocery store is 4.3 miles away, a 14-minute drive.
Take the next right onto West 2E Avenue.
Which isn't too bad. One thing that I am not liking about Instacart is that you just have to have the app on and in your face the whole time scrolling to find something. Where Uber Eats and DoorDash, they send you an order, you can accept it or decline it, and if you decline it, you won't see it again. So the thing with Instacart is you have to just keep scrolling and hoping to find something good. Where I'd rather they would send me a batch nearby and I could either accept it or decline it. And then once I decline it, I wouldn't have to see it again, because one of the frustrating things is scrolling through batches that have been sitting there forever, and then that's all you see, and other batches get buried in all these old batches that you don't want to take. So I don't know how Instacart veterans would feel about that. that Instacart would send you a batch. You can decide to take it or leave it, just like Uber Eats or DoorDash. What do you think about that, Jen?
Joe, I really wish Instacart would update the way they distribute their batches to shoppers. As it stands, shoppers are competing for all of these batches in the queue, and we waste so much time scrolling and scrolling to find the perfect batch. It's very competitive, and oftentimes we have to go home empty-handed. There's an app update in California where in certain parts of California they are able to see one batch at a time. However, that's not the solution either, because if you decline that batch, they have to wait minutes later for Instacart to send them another batch. So there's got to be an easier way than this, but right now this is what we have. But yes, it's very frustrating to scroll and keep scrolling. It is a complete time waste. There's got to be an easier way, right?
All right, first batch at Butera. I've actually never shopped here before, so this will be interesting. Wish me luck.
My honest advice, Joe, for shopping in a store that you are not familiar with is to don't shop in the store until you are familiar with it. I've made the mistake way too many times for being overly ambitious in taking these large dollar batches to find out it's in a store that I have no clue the store layout. So my recommendation is that you do really take the time to memorize your store layouts, especially the ones that are unfamiliar, and to kind of go in those stores on your day off and just get the lay of the land. That will really help your time and efficiency and take away the anxiety. Don't do it until you're familiar, I promise.
I've actually never shopped here before, so this will be interesting.
Wish me luck.
Wish me luck. Wish me luck.
All right, so I found these damn pretzels in the corner of the deli section. I don't know why these are always in a weird spot, you know? Just put them with the rest of the chips and the rest of the pretzels. Then as I got back to my cart, I noticed that nasty gunk on there. So I went back to get another because now I'm rushing. I gotta slow it down. Isn't that right, Jen?
Joe, while shopper metrics are important, when it comes to speeding through a customer's order in the grocery store in order to beat that clock at the bottom of your screen, don't worry about, because that timer is actually not what the customer expects in the timeline. So just do your very best. And right now, with the ratings as volatile as they are, it is way more important to focus on efficiency and the quality of that order versus to watch that little time on the bottom of your screen. So don't get hung up on that. Focus on your communication and servicing that customer with all that you have, because it will pay off in the long run. You cannot risk a lower rating or making a mistake, because mistakes do happen when we speed. I've done it before. We've all had a problem where we've left something in the car unknowingly or worse. So definitely slow down and be as efficient as you can, and don't worry about that clock. It is all about providing the best possible customer service you can with communication, and it does take time. So don't worry about the clock.
All right, so that probably took me about 12, 13 minutes, and the timer said 9 minutes, so I didn't do that bad for a brand new store. It was a different setup for sure, so I do see the store come up pretty often, so I should probably come walk it and get familiar with it.
My honest advice, Joe, for shopping in a store that you are not familiar with is to don't shop in the store until you are familiar with it.
Luckily, this customer is literally 0.6 miles away, 2 minutes, so I'm gonna go do that drop off. All right, Jen. I had to come home because after being out for 3 hours now, I am hungry. But it took me 2 hours to find a batch that was worth it. So I think this is kind of why Instacart fell off for me, and I did it I took a break from it for 6 months, so I don't know, Jen. What are your thoughts? I need to pick me up before I go back out and try for a second batch.
Joe, I know it is incredibly frustrating and actually demotivating when we are so excited to go make the money we think we're going to make on one platform and we can't do it. But don't beat yourself up. It's not on us. It's on the market on that day. So all you can do is keep multi-apping and keep it moving forward with the best positive attitude you can. Unfortunately, we work in the gig economy and this is the nature of the beast. One slow day is going to happen from time to time. But remember, for every bad day, there's going to be another great day. So stay strong, stay positive. You've got this, Joe.
Thank you so much, Jen. Your advice and tips today have been so helpful to me. You always know how to keep me motivated. I did go back out later in the day, but I didn't get any more Instacart batches, but I did multi-app and do a couple DoorDash and Uber Eats. I even turned on Shipped, but nothing was going on there either. If you happen to be watching this video first, please head over to Jen on the Go's channel. I will have that link down in the description below, and watch where I got to help her on her first day on Uber Eats. That was a lot of fun. She was a great student. I just hope I was a good teacher. All right, guys, so as you can see, I did have a pretty slow and rough day on Instacart, but it's not like that every day. But this was a great example of some tough days in the gig economy compared to some great days in the gig economy. So taking Jen on the Go's advice, I will take that on my good Instacart days, but also apply it to other apps. And this is why it is so important to continue to multi-app, because when one app is slow, you can fire up the other one and hopefully continue to make the income you need. One app is not better than the other, and it is so dependent on your market. Jen had some slow times on Uber Eats on her first day, where I'm usually super busy. So you can't compare yourselves to others, but the advice you're hearing, learn from it and apply it to yourself.
That's right, Joe. Thank you so much. It was a blast gig swapping with you, and I hope to do it again.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye, guys.